Good morning. Happy Friday. I'm Natalie Fairchild. Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Journey Live. And here is my friend Martin. Ooh, I got my thumb right.
You got it right. Good morning.
Morning. I'm so excited about what we're doing today. And a lot of questions have been answered or will be answered, and a lot of burning ideas as well. But I'm so happy to welcome Steve Beagelman. He is with SMB Franchising Advisors. I met Steve because one leads to the next, leads to the next. And I I got off the phone with him and I literally screamed by myself, just me and my dog, "Yes, this is it." I knew that this is what I needed to get to where I wanted to go to be a franchise. And so Steve comes with over 30 years of experience in the franchise industry. And in 2009, he created SMB. Love his story about how he became an entrepreneur and a franchise owner in the very, very beginning. And so let's welcome Steve Beagelman.
Hi, Natalie. Hi, Martin. How are you guys today?
Good. Thank you so much. We're so honored to have you.
Happy to have you.
Yes, but we are part of the family, like you always say. So I can throw in favors to my family and ask you to come on, and you do it.
Anytime you want, Natalie. Anytime you want. I'm happy to be here. I'll happy to be wherever you need me. So
Perfect. So
thank
we
you
are
guys very much for having me today. I'm happy to participate any way I can.
awesome. And side note, you do some writing for Forbes too. So,
I
you're
do.
big man on campus here. So,
Yeah, people tell me that and they make me feel good, and that's great. But I'm really happy to give back to an industry. Franchising has been a great industry to me for over 35 years. And I just love to help entrepreneurs fulfill their dream of expanding their business or just opening a business. So I'm always
yeah.
happy to share
Yeah.
my knowledge with people in
Perfect.
business and in small business across the country. So just like I
Perfect.
did with you when we started talking, probably a year and a half, 2 years ago to where
Yeah.
you are today.
Yeah.
Always happy to do that.
Yeah, awesome. So I love the beginning of your story. So you had an entrepreneur father and they had a business. And then here you are in your college dorm room and give us a little 3-minute story because you're such a good storyteller of what you created and took off from there in your entrepreneur and franchise journey.
Yeah, happy to do that. This hard to tell it in 3 minutes, to be honest, but
Yeah.
I'll do the best I can. I'll do the best I
I
can.
tried to slim you down.
Yeah, yeah. So try and control me is a good thing. So I started in a family business in the mid 80s. I was a kid growing up, and if you asked me what I was going to do with my life when I was 15 years old, I would have told you I knew exactly what I was going to do. I was probably going to play center field for the New York Yankees for a living. So I was never that
That's
good.
right.
Not going to play. Maybe I would have played Division III college, but I ended up blowing out my arm, and that ended my baseball journey. Well, at the same time, my parents had started this business and they franchised it. It was in the packaging and shipping industry, very similar to like a UPS store where you go in and you ship a sweater to your aunt for her birthday in Florida. You rent the mailbox and you call it a suite number when you're working out of your home, that type of business. And they franchised the business. At our peak, we grew to about 130 locations in 17 states. So when I was in high school as a junior and senior, I said to my dad, when I realized I wasn't going to play baseball anymore for a living, I said, "Hey, can I learn about business and can I intern for the vice president of franchise sales that you hired to sell these franchises?" And he said, "Sure." So as a junior and senior in high school, every day I went from high school right after school to the corporate office, and I'd sit next to the vice president of sales and watch him meet with potential franchisees, and I would tour them through the office. And I was just mesmerized by franchising. So when I graduated high school, I said to my dad, "I want to come in the family business and I want to sell franchises." He said, "Great. As soon as you graduate college, you can come in the business and you can sell franchises." And I said, "Thanks, Dad, but that's not exactly what I want to do. I want to sell franchises right now." And he said, "Steve, you're 18 years old. You can't sell franchises." And I said, "I'm
Watch me.
18." I said, "I'm 18, but I look 23," which, by the way, when you're 18 and you look 23, really good. When you're my age and look a little older, not so good. But anyway, I won't give away how old I am. But anyway, so I said, "I'm telling you, I could do this." So I think he just was appeasing me, and he said, okay, sure. And I moved into my college dorm room, Natalie. You're absolutely right. And my roommate, who I didn't know, who's one of my best friends now, 30 plus years later, he had pictures of beer on the wall on his side of the room. And my side of the room had a map just like the one right behind me. And I had push pins plotted where I was putting all my franchises. So you guys can imagine how popular I was in college when you have a map with push pins on the wall.
I'm surprised you're still friends.
Yeah, we're still best friends. But I literally called potential franchisees who were interested in being a franchisee in my parents' business from my college dorm room, which you couldn't do today because of caller ID, but it didn't exist back then. And I went to class in, slacks and a dress shirt. I had a briefcase in the car, and after class, I'd go meet people at a local store, and I sold 1 or 2 franchises every month. I was doing franchise shows, 2 to 3 franchise shows a month. I loved it. And while everybody laughed, I was making pretty good money in commission checks, and life was pretty good. So in 1991, while I was a junior in college, I decided to create my own business. So just like you, Natalie, and Martin, and everybody else that's probably participating on this call right now and learning, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I created what everybody knows today is the food delivery industry. So everybody knows Grubhub and DoorDash and Uber Eats and all those great brands.
That's crazy.
Well, in 1991, I created a company called Black Tie Express. We delivered food for restaurants that didn't deliver to people's homes and offices for the same price they'd pay as if they went there. And I'd get a discount from the restaurant. That's how I made my money. You'd call one phone number, like the one you see right here. I had 10 phone lines in a call center, and I would print 50,000 of these menus, 30, 40 pages, and I would mail them to people's homes and offices. And then people would get it, call, order from the restaurant. We brought more business to the restaurants. And at the same time, we gave a great service to you, our customers. Yeah. So it was a great business. I started that while I was in college in 1991. And then after I graduated, I franchised the business in 1993. And by the time I was 24 years old, I had 35 franchise locations across the country, and it was great. I was approached by my largest competitor. They wanted to acquire me. I wasn't really interested in selling, but they wined and dined me. And next thing you know, I sold my company in November of 94 to them. And it springboarded my career in franchising. I went on and grew that business to over 150 locations around the U.S. It was great. Did that for 2 years. And I was married to my wife, my college sweetheart, who was from New Jersey. We were living in Northern Virginia where the new company was based. And when my contract ended, we wanted to get closer to home. And we ended up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour from where my in-laws lived and an hour and a half from my family. And spent the next 10 years building franchise brands like Rita's Italian Ice, grew them to almost 400 locations, Salad Works, almost 100 locations. And then I was the CEO of a chain of tanning salons called Hollywood Tans that was bought by private equity, and they brought me in to run it. So
nice.
That before I started the consulting business in 2009, and the rest is history. Today, our consulting company, SMB Franchise Advisors, has worked with just about 500 franchise brands, companies that were just like yours, Natalie, at Pacific Perks, that wanted to grow to the next level, and we helped them franchise their business.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun. I have truly an amazing team that supports our clients every day. Mm-hmm. And we are a family. And I think that, Natalie and Martin, that we're really big on social events with all our clients, bringing our clients together with networking. We're big believers in all of those things because our clients and are part of our franchise family, and they learn from each other. Yeah. So
perfect.
Awesome. I love franchising, and you're right. I write for Forbes. I'm very involved with the International Franchise Association.
Nice.
Conferences, all those things.
So awesome.
Steve.
Yeah, Martin.
We have a very varied audience, right? There are people who are looking to maybe become entrepreneurs, people who are entrepreneurs currently and they're doing something, people who are deep in business. And so I just really don't want to step over anything. So why don't we start with the beginning?
Sure.
What is a franchise?
In 30 seconds, Steve.
Yeah, I'll try. As you can tell, I didn't do 3 minutes. I think it was about 5, but I was close.
I think you were pretty good.
Yeah, I tried.
You were good. You were good.
Remember, I'm from New York originally, so I do talk fast, so that helps. But
that does help.
Yeah,
that does help.
Even though I'm in
just
Bucks
razzing
County,
you, Steve.
Yeah. So A franchise really is a way for you to grow your business to the next level by expanding in other markets, letting other people take your brand, your system, your process, and your training and open it in their local communities, right? So, and as a potential franchisee, if somebody's interested in opening a Pacific Perks as an example, right? They're saying, okay, Natalie has already perfected the system, right? She's created the system, she's perfected the system, she understands the model, she has the distribution, she has the product. All of those things are figured out in a franchise, right? As a franchisor. And now people out there are saying, I want to own my own business, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to create Black Tie Express. I don't know how to create Pacific Perks, but I've always wanted to own my own business. So then, well, what business are you interested in? What do you like to do? Oh my God, you love food. Well, then you want to look at food concepts. I love pets. Let's look at the pet industry. I love kids, childcare, right? So find out what you like and then look into different franchises that may be an opportunity for you to follow a proven system in your local community. You own the business, it's your business, but it's not your brand, right? So people a lot of times say, I own a McDonald's, so I own McDonald's. Well, actually, you have a license to use the mark for McDonald's in a certain community and market, right? McDonald's owns the mark of McDonald's. So in this case, Natalie owns the mark for Pacific Perks, but you can be a franchisee locally in a community and operate that business. You run it, you own it, you get a lot of flexibility in your life compared to potentially when you're working in corporate America. And a lot of people, that's the reason they get into business and want to become a franchisee of, thousands of different franchise brands that are out there today, is because they want to understand how do I get the opportunity to, have a little bit of independence, right? And that's what, owning a franchise really lets them do. So hopefully I answered that a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's great. And there's a burning question I think some people out there are wondering about, and they might be saying, well, why are you going to ask this? But we're going to ask this. So some people think, and I really want your opinion on this, are you an entrepreneur if you buy a franchise and become a franchisee? So what do you say by that? Because you kind of answered it in the last answer there, but I'd love to get your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, people that own their own business clearly are entrepreneurs, right? But they don't create their own brand, right? They're following a proven system. So you're still an entrepreneur if you own a business. There's no doubt you're an entrepreneur, but there are different types of entrepreneurs, right? So some people, I'd be a great franchisor. I love being a franchisor. I love creating a system and I love giving it out there to people. But I might not be the best franchisee because I want to create the system, right? Other people say, listen,
Good
I
point.
can't create the system. I want to go into pet care and I love dogs, but I don't know anything about owning a dog walking business or a luxury dog hotel or a dog grooming business, but I want to go into the pet care industry. Well, then you might be a good franchisee. If you want to follow a proven system, franchising is a great model. And as I said, there are thousands of franchises out there.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the senior care industry as an example,
Yeah.
there are over 100 different franchise brands that are in senior care.
Yeah.
Over 100.
Yeah.
And they're all great businesses.
Right.
So, now you need to decide which franchise brand's right for you, right? Some of them are sold out. So I want to open up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where I live. And I might call some of the big brands and they say, well, we're sold out in that area. We already have a franchisee that covers that territory, but I still want to go in the business. So I may join an emerging brand. Natalie, somebody like your brand that's emerging right now and just getting started in franchising. So there are lots of opportunities, but you got to find out what's right for you. But yes, to answer the question, you still are an entrepreneur if you own your own business. It's just a different level of entrepreneur, right? You're not creating the system. You're just following it.
Right. And I think that's the point. I think that's really a good point, Steve, is that are you the creator and you love to figure it out?
Yep.
Or you're like, I don't want to figure out anything. Jesse. And Jesse's tuning in from Spain, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And
it's pretty cool.
yeah,
You're
that's
our
great.
farthest listener, Jesse. Good job.
That's awesome.
But yeah, but some of us love to create and dream the concept and work that system out. And other people are like with me with accounting. I don't want to have anything to do with that part of things. Right.
When I look at it,
Yep.
I want to look at it and I want to, I'm smart enough to know that what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, and take something that someone's already created and proven and then have fun with that. So that's a great point.
yeah, well, and you already started touching on this, Steve. But so let's say that somebody's already chosen the direction of like, look, I'm not a process creator. I'm going to go find a concept that works for me, and I'm going to do that. I mean, with the amount of franchise concepts out in the thousands, how does somebody choose?
Yeah. So there are different ways, right? So you may know yourself. I always tell people, do what you like, do what you enjoy. Uh, the automotive industry may be a great industry, right? I like driving a car, but I'm not interested in the car industry, right? So I
Right.
wouldn't be the right guy to, to become a franchisee in a, mechanic shop type of
Mhm.
franchise. But if you love, tinkering with vehicles, you may be great for that. So I always tell people to look at what you like to do and what you're excited about, because you want to be passionate about what you do when you own a business. You just do, right? Because the buck
Mhm.
stops with you,
Yeah.
right? It's your responsibility. Natalie created a great brand, but if I became a franchisee of Natalie's brand in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where I'm from, right, and where I live now, it's my responsibility to build that brand locally in the community. It's not Natalie's. She has to give me the tools, but I have to go implement them, right? I have to hire the right staff. I have to train
Mhm.
them. I have to market locally. I have to
Yeah.
build it here. So I can't call Natalie up and say, hey, Natalie, my manager quit today. Can you come on down and run my store for me? That's not going to happen. Right. So I
Yeah.
tell people, look, do what you're passionate about, look into industries that you're excited about. Another option for people is there are companies out there that are called broker networks or consulting networks, a little bit
Mhm.
different than consulting what we do, where they help people find franchises that may be a good fit for them. So they do questionnaires and talk to people and get to know them a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they'll narrow down and say, have you ever thought of, maid cleaning? Have you ever thought of, senior care? Have you ever thought of, home services? And they'll narrow
Yeah.
it down, and then they'll introduce them to some franchise brands. And typically they don't pay anything for that service. The franchisor pays the referral company on the back end if somebody buys a franchise. So it's a no cost up front for them, but obviously they're going to get referred to brands that are in their networks, right? So but that is a good option for people if you truly have no idea what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other option is you can go to trade shows. There are franchise trade shows throughout the country that are out there that you can get educated. I encourage people to go. There are seminars. I speak at some of those events and seminars as a guest speaker, and you can learn about different businesses, different opportunities. You walk the rows of the show and you're like, wow, can't even believe that's a franchise. Oh my gosh. I mean, so many different things, right? So there are all these different opportunities. You can go online. I mean, nowadays, again, when I started in franchising, there was no internet. So I'm giving away my age a little bit, right? Didn't
And
exist.
no Google Maps. You
No, there
guys
were
were
no Google Maps.
dispatching people when looking at maps.
Absolutely. My drivers in my food delivery business, we use two-way walkie-talkies through Nextel. If you remember those beep beep phones, those of you that
Remember
are
those.
age, okay? And
Yep.
my drivers had Hagstra maps in their car, and they had to use flashlights to figure out how to get to the addresses. There was no GPS. My gosh, I wish there was
Their
back then.
phones didn't even have a flashlight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep,
Exactly. And
yep.
they were
It was
bricks.
crazy.
Yeah,
It was
that's
crazy.
funny.
But
Well,
anyway,
and to your point, I think of me and I think of why I got in, why we created Pacific Perks. And it wasn't because I've always wanted to own a coffee shop or that I love coffee or that I love, cooking food. And I own a coffee and catering business and I don't drink coffee and I'm a horrible cook.
that's funny.
However, there is a passion there.
Yeah.
And the passion is, I love to create experiences for people. I love the event industry and I love making things simple for people. And that's where my passion lies. So it,
Hmm.
it can even be like another layer behind the initial. Do you like coffee? Do you like pets? Do you like senior living? That kind of thing. It might even be a subconscious level of another thing that that franchise can bring to you.
Well, there's
But
a
yeah.
Absolutely.
big affinity to the culture component to it too, right?
Mhm.
When Steve says that you should go to the trade shows and talk to people, you're probably going to be talking to the franchisor, to the owner, and really getting a sense of the type of business that is, and that's
Yeah.
definitely going to influence
Yeah.
your decision to go into that franchise versus another.
And to your point, Steve, about 80% of the people that I talked to at the franchise trade show we were at when we had a booth wanted to get out of the corporate world.
Hmm. Yeah, I
They
think
That's
that
definitely
wanted,
a big
I think a
motivator
lot of
these
them.
days.
Yeah, I think a
mhm.
lot of them want to get out, or a lot of them want to diversify, open a business on the side, get it
Yes.
started, and then
Yes.
eventually do that. But they want to get the business started while they still have an income coming in. Maybe
Right.
it's a family member or a spouse or somebody else that gets the business started, or a manager that they know. So we see that a lot in franchising, a
Yeah,
lot.
for sure.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and with that in mind, there'll be some people that that's a good idea for, and some people for whom it isn't. So, for you
Next
in your
question.
in your experience, who's a good fit, right, to purchase a franchise, and who isn't?
Yeah, I would say that to answer the question, you want somebody who's ready to follow a system, who's excited about the brand and ready to follow a system. And Martin, you said, they when they attend the trade shows or attend what's called the discovery day at the
Mhm.
franchisor's office after they inquire about the business and learn more, they're going to meet the team. The team could be the founder, in this case, Natalie of Pacific Perks. It could be the management team if it's a bigger franchisor. It could be the director of franchise sales and the regional operations manager and a marketing director. You're going to meet the team. And you have to figure out if that culture is the right fit for you, and vice versa. The
Yes.
franchisor needs to figure out if you're the right fit for them. Okay. I'm a big believer that franchisees become brand ambassadors for the company and the franchisor in their local communities.
Yeah.
So you want the right fit, and they want the right fit. The worst thing that can happen is somebody signs up to be a franchisee in your brand, and 6 months in, they hate what they're doing. They're not a good franchisee, and it's a challenge for everybody.
They damage your
So
brand.
it,
Mhm.
it hurts your brand. It hurts the other franchise partners in your brand when you have a franchisee who's not doing a good job or following the system or listening to you. So again, you want somebody who's willing to follow a proven system, who's really passionate and excited about your brand and believes in it, believes
Yeah.
in the culture, the vision, the mission. I mean, those are real important things. That's what makes a good franchisee. And listen, as Natalie said earlier, it's not for everybody. If you want to be that person who creates, that's awesome. Let's go create your own business, whether you franchise it or not. And
Yeah.
not every business is meant to be a franchise concept, too, guys. So, I have conversations with people all the time, and sometimes they say, "You have a great business. You're doing $5 million, $10 million, whatever it is in your region, and you know what? You should keep growing that. You shouldn't franchise your business." And those are conversations that myself and several members of my team, my sales team, have with entrepreneurs all the time who are like, "Hey, should I franchise this or shouldn't I franchise this, etc." But going back to the question of who would make a good franchisee, you want somebody who believes in the system, wants to follow the brand, follow the culture, follow the mission, the vision, and the brand standards that you're going to create as a franchisor. And if somebody wants to do that, they'll be a great franchisee.
Yeah, I think again that's it. It's if you are you the creator? If you are, go build your own business.
Yep.
So those companies that you talk to that are doing 5, 10 million in the region doing great and you say, "You know what? Keep doing what you're doing." Why what's the component there that makes you feel like they should keep doing what they're doing and not jump onto the franchise road?
Yeah, there's several reasons. I mean, one reason that could happen and has happened plenty of times is the founder wants to control every aspect of every little thing. And the reality
There
is,
you go.
Natalie,
Yeah.
when you open a franchise in, San Francisco, California, or you open one in, Las Vegas, Nevada, you're not there. So the franchisee is going to operate that unit, and they're going to have to adhere to your standards and follow your system and your process, and you're going to check up on them. But the employees there, they don't work for you. They work for the franchisee, right? So you can't walk in that location and start telling employees what to do. And there are some founders of concepts who want to control every aspect of the business, including staffing all across the country. And if you want to do that, that's great. Keep growing corporately. Don't franchise, even though you have a
Great
business
point.
that might be tremendously successful. The other thing is some businesses are tremendously successful because of the founder, and they really aren't replicatable or duplicatable in certain markets. In other markets, something may work down south that's great in the south but won't work in the northeast,
Good
and
point.
vice versa. Something may work out west that's just this super cool, fun, hip concept that you bring it back east and it's just not going to work, right? So and there's nothing wrong with taking a business that you have, as I talk to founders all the time, and it's doing millions of dollars, and just continuing to grow it. One of the challenges, though, with growing a business, as Natalie, is staffing is a challenge, right? Staffing is a challenge everywhere in a lot of businesses
Yeah.
today. But continuing to grow your business in markets outside of your home base,
Yeah.
how can you staff it? How can you make sure it adheres to your standards?
Yeah.
It becomes challenging. A lot
For
of
sure.
times we'll help people franchise their business even after they've gotten to 5 or 10 territories or locations. And then sometimes once they franchise, they'll sell 2 or 3 of those off because they realize that a franchisee will be better suited in that local market than they were trying to run it, from 3 hours away or 5 hours away or even a plane ride away.
Right. And that's such great insight. Like that was great to hear, which companies should stay in their lane and which should try. And those are great examples and reasons. So, yeah, makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Martin, what else you got for him?
Yeah. So, Steve, there's I feel like there's a couple of camps, right? There's people who know and understand the franchise world. There's some people for whom this is really completely alien, but it represents such a large portion of available businesses and even of the economy. With you being so involved in it, do you see anything trend wise, anything that we should know around trends in the franchising industry, it, anything that would affect it, anything that would enhance it coming into the future?
Well, we all just lived through, COVID the last 3 years, which was certainly a challenge for so many people and so many businesses, and
Yeah.
horrific for the world. But what we saw during COVID was a lot of the home service businesses really exploded. So anything with your home, I know for a fact, even in my home, all of a sudden we were doing things to the house that we had never dreamed of doing. We even added a hot tub in the backyard that my kids wanted, which was certainly not in the plans. Because when we couldn't go on vacations anywhere for the first year, it was like,
On a
what do you do,
vacation
right?
here.
Yeah, so we stayed at home, right? And a lot of people,
Everybody and their dog got a dog too.
absolutely. I mean, I have 2 dogs. I'm a big dog lover, and everybody in the family got dogs. You're exactly right.
Get
You're
into bread
exact.
making, Steve?
What was that? I'm sorry.
You get into bread making too?
Yeah, I didn't. I don't think I'm allowed in the kitchen really, but in any event, we did more cooking obviously as a family, and just everything changed, right? So people were renovating their homes, they were adding new windows, they were adding new curtains, they were doing renovations, adding a guest room, building out the
Yeah.
basement. They were
Yeah.
doing stuff, fixing the garage. So you just saw more home service businesses really, really grow. And people wanted to get in their own business. So franchising still grew as an industry, which was great. but you saw a lot more in home services. You definitely saw retail and restaurants take a little bit of a dip during COVID,
Yeah.
but they're coming back now, which is great.
Mhm.
And we see them coming back pretty strong,
Mhm.
especially fast casual restaurants, quick serve.
Yeah.
Those are really exploding right now as
Yeah.
well.
But
Um,
that number recovered and plus, right? We ended
Right.
up with a lot more net restaurants than we had before COVID.
And a
yeah,
lot more patios at
yep.
restaurants to eat
Oh,
at.
absolutely. I mean, Natalie, that's a great point,
Just
right?
for the
So
next one.
yeah, yeah. Restaurants did not have, in most cases, I mean,
Yeah.
some restaurants had patios, but nowhere near what you see today. And now everybody eats outside. I love eating outside too. It's
Yeah.
terrific. So great that that came out of it. A lot of
Yeah.
obviously, horrible things that were challenging during the time, but
Yeah.
overall, we see a lot of growth in home services now, fast casual. The pet industry absolutely exploded. Not only were people getting pets, but we have a luxury dog hotel that we're involved with, and I'm
Yeah.
actually very involved with, not just as an advisor but even an investor in the
Oh, nice.
franchise company. And we've grown to over 140 franchise locations over the last 3 years. I mean, we've exploded.
K9.
Yep,
Is it
that's
okay if I
right.
say
Yep. Yeah, sure
it?
you can. Canine Resorts. It's a multi-million-dollar resort. It's over $2 million to open one of our resorts, and yet we've exploded with growth. I mean, the pet industry has exploded, and people will do anything for their pets.
Yeah.
I mean, I will. I have two golden doodles. There's
Yeah.
nothing they don't get, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
we spoil our kids, our parents, and our pets. I mean, that's kind of
Yeah.
what's going on right
Yeah.
now. Those
Right.
industries are
Right.
really, really hot. So,
And for us, it was a real eye opener because we used to do about 70 to 80% corporate events.
right,
I mean,
right,
employee appreciation, all of that. And of course, that dipped.
sure.
However, we have a bunch of niche markets like the senior living, manufacturing, essential workers, medical clinics, that those just exploded.
Hmm.
And, in 2021, as things were still not back corporate wise, we were hitting or beating the numbers from 2019 pre COVID
Hmm.
because we were, diversifying. There's enough business and all of that. And then 2022, all corporate started coming back and it was like, so it was great.
Yeah.
And hiring people, we talked about that. That is a challenge. And one of the reasons why, kind of just having your own thing there and selling off your brand to other people, become a franchise is a great thing. I feel like that's our secret sauce with Pacific Perks because we have a real strategic way and niche market of we're hiring people that aren't on Indeed, that aren't looking for work, but are coming to us a lot by referral or have heard of us, or I have a couple clients that have been clients and they're like, now I want to come work for you, which is very interesting. So
And then to be
Oh, that's the best
franchisees.
way. Yeah, that's the best way is to get current clients or customers who are brand ambassadors and passionate about your brand to either
yeah,
come work for you or to become franchisees of your brand in
yeah,
other markets. I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen
right.
it over and over and over again. That's how a lot of franchise brands actually get started is people that were real passionate about the brand as customers become those first few franchisees.
Yeah, they
Definitely.
start from that high affinity to begin with and then go into
Hmm.
it. I mean, for me, as a side note, on what you were talking about, COVID and people recovering from, one of the biggest things that I have to deal with businesses is that they freak out, right? They freak out about the doom and gloom they hear, or they freak out about the actual impact that they're getting from some sort of outside environment. And one of the biggest things I talk about is the sort of the nature of that game. You have to stay in it. And as long as you
Yeah.
can stay in it and you got a plan to stay in it, which is, maybe another show, but as long as you can stay in it, you will see the other side of it being probably a benefit. Once everybody sort of the dust settles and people take what they've learned and they start applying it in most industries, what that means is a bounce back and a growth.
Yeah. Which is a great question, not one we planned, but Steve, what did you tell the companies you were working with during COVID? how to get through that time. I mean, we were all learning, right? We were all learning. I know you did some incredible things for them as clients yourself with SMB, but what advice did you give them to get through this time and stay in it and get to the other side?
Yeah, certainly, Natalie. We didn't expect COVID to happen just like anybody else. We had no idea. So we were scared just like everybody was. And, we obviously regrouped as a company and a team. And we knew that our franchise family was very, very important to us. We called all our clients and we said, we're here for you. We're going to figure things out. We're going to pause, some of your financial payments to us. We're going to continue to work. We'll defer them till the end of the contract and just add an extra month or two. And let's help you get PPP loans. Let's help you get,
Mhm.
EDL loans. We'll help you get whatever we could. And if you remember the first round of PPP, it was really, really hard for small businesses to get it. You had to know somebody, it seemed like,
Yeah,
to get
you
it.
needed a big spreadsheet with a lot of numbers on
Oh
it,
my
and
gosh, it was
yeah,
tough. It
yeah,
was tough, but we helped them all get through it, and they all got it, especially in the second round. It seemed like all our clients did, and I'm happy to say that all our clients survived through COVID. But it was tough. I mean, we were scared. We called them all and said, "We're here for you," because you're part of our franchise family, and I thought our business, as an example, would be down significantly that year in 2020. And I remember telling my wife, I said, we'll probably be down, 30%. That fourth quarter came back like nothing I've ever seen. We ended up double digits up for the year. We were certainly down in April, May, and June. It was horrible because we were telling paying clients not to pay. Um, and when our
that'll
businesses,
do it.
yeah, and our business has continued to thrive ever since. We've had double-digit growth every year since I've started the company. So it's been great. But and I will tell you, small business is alive and well. It's growing, and people are excited about it. It's not for everybody, right? I mean, you got to have thick skin. You got to be willing to work hard. Yes, it gives you all this flexibility. I was just talking to an entrepreneur just the other day, and he was saying, I love the flexibility. I love that I can go pick my kids up from school, and I love that I can go see them play soccer after school. But after I get home and have dinner with them, I got to go back to work because it's my business, right? So I get that flexibility to do that, but I also still have to run my business, right? So
Now, I am here to challenge America on this one. So
Yes.
I want to come speak at the next networking function and talk about that because
yeah,
now, Steve, you love to work.
yes, I
You
do.
would rather work than do anything, which is great. Like if that, fills you with joy, that's great. But I am here to make a difference and say you do not have to be chained to your desk because you're a
Yeah.
business owner.
No, I
So,
agree. I agree with that. Listen, Natalie, what a lot of the world doesn't know is that I'm very active in youth sports. My daughters both played softball and basketball, and I coached them for years. Even after they graduated, high school, I continued to coach softball and still do. So I do have a life outside of work, but
good.
I do love to work, and I love what I
Yeah.
do because
Yeah.
people say to me,
Yeah.
"Why do you work so hard?" And I say, "Are you kidding? I talk to entrepreneurs all day, every day. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I'm helping small business." And listen,
Yeah.
it's tough to have the conversation with a company and tell them they're not ready to franchise. I've had that conversation with people. One of our big successful clients is a concept called Gym Guys, which is a mobile personal trainer. And I remember the
Yeah.
first time I met Josh, I told him he just wasn't ready to do it. And he said, "Well, what do you mean? I'm ready to pay you." And I said, "Josh, you're just not ready to be a franchisor yet. You need to put systems and processes in place. You need to do all these different things." I gave him a list. He called me up a year and a half later. He said, "Do you remember me? I'm Josh York from Gym Guys." I said, "Absolutely. You're from Long Island. I'm from Long Island, New York, too. We both talk just as fast as each other." I said, "Yep." He said, "I did everything you told me, Steve." I said, "Okay, Josh, let's do this." And now he's in hundreds of markets across the
Yeah.
country. When I
Yeah.
first met him, he's working at his parents' dining room table. So,
Yeah.
again, but having those conversations sometimes with people and telling them, you know what,
Right.
you may be a great entrepreneur, but maybe franchising isn't for you, or maybe you're just not
Yeah.
ready for it, is something that
Yeah.
we do all the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I love talking to people about business.
Yeah. I've met Josh, and then I was in Denver, and which I lived for 13 years, and I saw the gym guy's van go by,
Yep,
and I was like, "Oh my God, there he is." And
pretty
he's got
cool.
energy. And I'm sure after the first call with you, he went back and like worked hard like crazy. Like that's just the way he is, how he does things. So he
Absolutely.
does some extreme marketing, but that can be another topic. So to the point,
Yeah.
when you and I talked, I said, okay, listen, Steve, Pacific Perk's name is trademarked. We have all our SOPs together, thanks to Martin.
That's
Um,
standard operating procedures.
Yep.
Standard operating procedures. Yes, thank you. And then, we're starting with our proprietary software, so we're getting that working thanks to Martin's advice, and PPP. So PPP helped us get to be a franchise, really. So, and you said you're ready. But what are the things that you need to have? I'm just naming off a few that you think are important. Or why do you tell, Josh, well, you said these standard operating procedures he needed to
Yep.
get in place. Is that the
Yep.
biggest thing usually that's
Yeah, that's a big part of it, obviously. And you have to have a mindset too, right? So are
Yeah.
you ready? Are you ready to work much more on your business versus in your business? I love the
yes.
restaurant. I love the restaurateurs who call me and say, Steve, I want to franchise my business. And I say, great. Let's have a call on Tuesday at 2 o'clock or Thursday at 4 o'clock. I say, oh no,
Can't. I'm
I-
working.
I'm working the front line on Tuesday. Okay, how about Thursday at 4? Oh no, I'm working the back kitchen. Okay,
Not available.
if you're too busy to have
Right.
a call with me, you're
Right.
probably too busy to franchise your business, right?
Right.
You're going
Yes.
into a whole new business. And
Yes.
even Stephen and Jason at Canine Resorts, I'll get back to them again. When I first met them, they were checking dogs into their luxury hotel, and they had a gorgeous luxury hotel. I remember the first time when they called me and they said they had this luxury hotel, and I said, "You mean a kennel?" And they said, "No, it's not a kennel. It is a luxury,
It's marble.
hotel, right?" Yeah, I mean, we have flat plasma TVs for the dogs in their rooms. They watch Animal Planet.
It's
Some of our
crazy.
hotels have indoor
Yeah.
swimming pools, like glass chandeliers. This is
Room
like the
service.
Ritz-Carlton. So it's like the Ritz-Carlton for dogs. So I said I had to go see it. I did, and it was truly amazing, and that's why I agreed to help them franchise. And but when I met them, they were checking dogs into the hotel, and I said, "Great, this is awesome. If you guys want to keep doing this, and I get it, I love touching dogs and petting them and having fun with them. That's awesome, and playing with them. But if that's what you want to do, you're not ready to franchise. But if you want to extricate yourself out of the day-to-day operations of the business and start working on your business,
Yeah.
my team can help you do that, and then we can help you franchise your business." So that's a tough conversation you have with people. And some
Yeah.
founders just can't
Yeah.
give up that control. They just don't want to let go. And that's
Yeah.
okay. But then you shouldn't franchise. You can have a
Right.
successful business, whatever the business
Right.
is, the
Yeah.
restaurant, the senior care concept, the home service business, the
Yeah.
fitness business, child education,
Right.
kinder care, whatever it is.
And which is such a great point, because I remember getting the advice, you need to be the last person doing the carts. And I was like, what? But the
Yep.
money's there. And,
Of course. If
yeah.
I'm
But,
there, I'm going to do more revenue because I'm so
right.
passionate about it. I get it. I understand that. But if that's
But,
what you want to do, you're
yeah.
never going to get beyond
Yeah.
2 or 3
Yeah.
carts, and you're not going to
Right.
get to 50 or 100.
Right. So I took their advice, and it was great. Now I'm the last on carts. And if I'm doing carts, I'm like, oh God, you don't want me to do your cart. I got to figure this shit
Exactly.
out.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
I've had some great advice. Martin's been working with me for 12 years that helped me get to that point. And we talked a little bit in our last episode that you have to try and work with your ego a little bit in that, in letting it go, and then going, okay, like what am I doing now? What's my piece in the company? Because right now, Tristan, as he's up right there,
Yeah,
he's
I
like,
see that.
we don't want to see you. Like, go. And my other employees said, stay out of the day to day. Cause sometimes I'll come in like a little wrecking ball and they'll be like, get out. And so that's a good reminder. I have such a great team. But if you are on the front line, Steve, another point, which I'm so passionate about, is balance of life. You are not going to be enjoying the flexibility of a business owner.
Yeah, look,
You have
everybody
no time.
everybody needs a great team. I have a great team. My team supports our clients every day. They're truly
Yeah.
amazing, and I
Yeah.
couldn't do what I do, having this, Zoom call right now, speaking at conference events, writing for Forbes, coaching when I want to coach, youth sports. I
Yeah.
couldn't do all those things if
Yeah.
I didn't truly have a great team and give up
Right.
some of the control, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
realized very early on in my business, and even in my food delivery business and all the businesses that I've been involved in, you have to be willing to give up some control in order
And
to
surround
grow
yourself
and
and surround
surround yourself with
yourself with the
great
right
people.
people.
Of
Yes.
course. And guess
Yes.
what? If you bring on somebody and early on they're not the right fit, they're not the right culture fit, they don't get the brand, they're just not the right connection with you, you should part ways earlier.
Make it
Sometimes it's not
quick.
the right fit. It
You got to
happens.
make it quick.
You
And
do.
call Steve when that happens and say, "Okay, family, help me through this one."
And we do. And we do. I
Yeah.
mean, listen,
Yeah.
that's part of what family does, right?
Yeah.
Is they're there for you when you need them.
Yeah.
And listen, our clients, some of them, we talked about COVID before, but a lot of our clients have gone through other tough times for various reasons. And we truly are a family.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in that. We have 3 in-person events every year with all our clients coming together.
3?
Yeah, we
I
do.
only get an invitation to 1.
Well, if you went to the International Franchise Association in
Okay,
Vegas, you'd
that's
get
one. Yeah.
that. And if you
Okay.
came to the
Dang.
International Franchise Expo in
In
New
New
York City in
York.
June, you would get that.
All
So,
right.
yeah, we do. And then we have our big annual summit, which, we push everybody to come to, which has
Yes.
almost 300 of our franchisor clients from around the country, probably from about 30 different states. So, we're really proud of those things. So we believe
Yeah.
in this stuff. We want our clients to come together. We like to have a party, so we like to drink and eat and have some fun. But we also believe in the education component of it. Our
Yeah.
clients learn from each other. Somebody asked, one of our brands, Kevin Dubois, who owns Clean Franchise Brands, and they have over 500 locations. And somebody asked Kevin last year in December at our summit, Kevin, you have 500 locations. Why do you come? And he said, I come to give back because somebody gave back to me 7 years ago. That's
Nice.
what it means to be part of the SMB franchise family. And I'll
Nice.
always be there for Steve and his team because they've always been there for me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, thanks,
Perfect.
Kristen. I'm glad you had a good time last year. That's awesome. So, I mean, we want that stuff. And again, not everybody does what we do. Not everybody believes in the family atmosphere. It's just my culture. It's how I've, been
Yeah.
raised. It's how I grew my businesses. When I had Black Tie Express, my food delivery service in 1993 and 4, I got married in the summer of 94 to my college sweetheart. We had 2 tables of franchisees at my wedding. Okay. My wife said, do we need to invite all your franchisees? Now, if I had 500 franchisees, I couldn't do that. Right. But I had 30 some odd franchisees. I was able to do that. Right. So
That's
they were
awesome.
my family. They were my
Yeah.
franchise family.
Yeah.
Again, if
I'm
I had five,
surprised you had time to find a college sweetheart, really.
yeah, I got lucky. I got lucky, Natalie.
I
I got
can't
lucky.
wait to meet her someday.
Listen, I tell you, there were many a times that in our food delivery business, we would go from college and we would go to our operation and the phones were ringing off the hook, especially if it was bad weather, because bad weather, everybody's ordering in, nobody's
Right.
going out, and everybody
Right.
wants their food in 20 minutes when it's really going to be over an hour. Okay. And the phones were ringing and my drivers were swamped. I'd get in my car and start going to make deliveries, and I'd leave her
Really.
with her girlfriend literally in the call center with my other call center operators and say, help answer the phones. So,
I hope
mean,
she
it's
has a
all hands.
big diamond.
Yeah. All hands on deck. That's the way it is when you
It
own a
is.
small business,
It
right?
is.
I
It
mean,
is.
you guys
Yeah.
do. It's what you do. It's what
Yeah.
you do.
You don't want to be in the day to day, but there is a certain point where it's like, it's farm work is what we say. Like, everybody come on in. We're all hands on deck.
There are times that you have to do it. There are. You don't want to do
And
it
you
all
learn.
the
Yeah.
time, but there are
Yeah.
times that you have to do it. No
And you
doubt.
learn a lot from those times.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
what the hell are we doing here? This does not work. It's kind of like
Yep.
undercover boss experience,
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
We've had some
Yeah.
clients on it too. Great experience.
Oh, cool. Very
Yep.
cool.
Great
Very cool.
experience.
Awesome. Awesome. So good. All right. Well,
Steve,
yeah.
you
Go
you
ahead, Martin.
represent bunch of franchise concepts. How many would you say
We've worked with,
that are
yeah,
associated with SMB in one way?
yeah, Martin. We've worked with just under 500 brands, so it's
So,
in the
so that alone is
high
a
480s or
significant.
490s at this point. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's been truly an amazing journey. I feel so blessed for what we've been able to do. It's really been great. It's
with
really
what,
been.
like 4,000 plus franchise
Yeah,
concepts
there
out
are
there,
over
you represent
4,000
a
franchise
huge
brands.
part of the
Yep,
market.
yep.
So with that, and sadly, we're going to have to start wrapping up soon, but with that breadth of experience, I mean, we're really talking to somebody here that represents a huge chunk of that industry. What advice do you have for people at all of those levels, right? Somebody maybe considering it, somebody in business trying to define for themselves whether they should or shouldn't, and somebody who maybe is like Natalie, who already took the step and is in the midst of making it work.
Yeah, I think advice that I like to give people in general, whether I see people in my town and community or at the sporting events that I'm involved with, that they know I'm an entrepreneur and own my own business and franchising. I get questions all the time from people. First I would say, you know, think about it yourself, right? Is this something you'd really want to do, owning your own business, right? And understanding that there are responsibilities, right? The buck stops with you. While you'll have lots of flexibility and hopefully be able to spend more time with your family, or do things that you want to do, or travel and have all these things, the responsibility is still yours. It's your business, right? If something goes wrong, you got to be there. So you have to be prepared for that. And it takes a mindset, right? That I'm no longer working that corporate America job Monday through Friday, whatever it is, 8:30 to 5:30 or 6 or whatever
Mhm.
it is. When you go home at the end of the day, you turn off. Yeah, you turn off, but when you own a business, you're always thinking about your business, right? And,
Right.
and there are different times that you have to really jump in when you really don't want to. I mean, if your staff or your manager quits and you want to be at your kid's soccer game on a Saturday, but your business is open on a Saturday, guess who has to go run the business on the Saturday? Unfortunately, you're going to have to miss your child's soccer game. It stinks. It's terrible. It's horrible. But that happens. So you have to be
Yeah.
prepared for that. Sometimes
Yeah.
your business loses money.
Yep.
When you open a business, it doesn't make money day one. Sometimes it does, but not always. You have to be prepared to cover those losses for a period of time.
Mhm.
How are you going to live financially? Do you have another income from another family member? So these are all things you need to think about and be
Mhm.
prepared for in owning a business. And then, like I said, do something you're passionate about. Do something you like. Look into things that are going to make you excited to get up in the morning and go. Because you want to enjoy what you do. And I've enjoyed just about everything that I've done in franchising. It's been so much fun, and it's probably why I work so hard, because I love it, because I don't really see it as
Yeah.
work.
Right.
Whether it was my parents' packaging and shipping business, whether it was food delivery, whether it was back at Rita's, or now owning my own consulting business. I mean, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I love helping entrepreneurs like Natalie fulfill their dream. Sometimes it takes a little longer than others. And then if you decide to open a business and you're successful at it, it grows, and now you're like, okay, I've taken it to a certain point. How do I expand it to the next level? And I
Mhm.
want to see it open in other communities. Well, that's where franchising comes in. And that's where a company like ours at SMB Franchise Advisors could potentially help you take it to that next level.
Yeah. And I love your energy. I love you can tell there's no faking what you love what you're doing right now, which is great. Okay, quick question as we're rounding out.
Yeah.
What excites you every day, and what keeps you from sleeping well some nights?
Well, the first thing that excites me, honestly, is my family. I mean, I adore my family, my personal family, and then my external family, which is my franchise family. So there's nothing I wouldn't do for any of them. I care deeply about them. It's just who I am. And I'll stay up all night if I had to make sure that, everybody's happy. Right. So it's just kind of the way I was raised, and kind of my culture and my values and what I stand for.
Yeah.
What keeps me up at night? Honestly, because I do think, oh, that's so adorable. Your dog just ran by you now
Yes,
in
he
the
did.
background. Love it, love it, love it.
There he goes.
Yeah.
That keeps you up at night.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
look, as a parent, because I have two daughters, 19 and 22. What keeps me up at night is making sure they're safe and they're doing well in life and enjoying themselves, but still, okay and prospering. So that keeps me up at night as a parent, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And anybody who's a parent out there probably,
Yeah.
feels the same way.
Absolutely.
But the other things that keep me up at night is obviously, sometimes there are things external. I think, Martin, you might have mentioned this earlier, that are out of our control, right? That frustrate me. So I know what I can do, and I know what my team could do, and I know what our clients can do. But sometimes things happen. We talked
Yeah.
about COVID, right? I mean, that was
Yeah.
an external thing that nobody can control, certainly none of us,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
and it crushed so many businesses for so
Right.
long.
Right.
And then we
Yeah.
all had to regrow our businesses again and had to figure out how to staff and had to get things like PPP, to protect our employees. And did we wear masks and didn't we wear masks? And how did we wipe down counters? And could we have all the tables open in restaurants? And I mean, it was just a real,
Yeah.
real challenge,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was really
Right.
important. And
Yeah.
Barbara just commented on giving back. I mean, I'm a big believer in giving back. I love to give back
Yeah.
to the community of business and
Yeah.
franchising. It's
Right.
why I speak at as many franchise conferences as I can to help
Yeah.
entrepreneurs
Yeah.
understand business and their dream. I
Right.
speak at colleges often. I love to do that and talk about franchising and entrepreneurship because
Yeah.
college kids sometimes have thought about, do I want to own my own business? I mean, remember,
Totally.
I owned my own business while I was in college, you know? So, and
There's a lot of degrees you can get in entrepreneurship.
there
There's
are,
a whole different segment there. Yeah. And
there
so it has
definitely
been
are.
so
It,
great having you on. I so appreciate it. I love your energy again. I love your thoughts. They're just great things to think about. And I know my takeaway, my biggest takeaway is, if you're the creator, go create your own franchise. If you're not the creator and don't love that,
There are
franchise might
options.
be a good, option
yeah.
for you. Martin, real quick, any takeaways for you that stand out?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big ones for me is, and I asked this specifically of Steve, is yeah, you're an entrepreneur if you chose to follow a franchise system. You're still
Yeah.
someone who has to figure out how to make it all work. And that meddling with figuring things out is what makes somebody an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So yeah, for
Right.
sure, there's no snobbery around how you get to be in business.
You're
You get
almost smart for knowing,
for knowing, hey, I'm gonna take a
yeah,
proven system and I'm gonna run with it.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So
Oh,
yeah, that's definitely one of the big
yeah,
takeaways
no
for me.
doubt. We just had one of our businesses that the franchisee was the first franchisee in their system, one of our franchisors, first franchisee in the system. They started the business, they became, grew their franchise, they operated it for 10 years. They were able to live a great life, made more money than they ever made in their life in corporate America. The entrepreneur told me, and he said, I expanded my house. I bought a summer house. I got a boat, all these things. And now he retired and the franchisor bought back his business. So that's a great story, right? Great
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I love
You're gonna
stories
make
like
the
that.
system work there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. As we wrap up today, we'll see you. What's the date, Martin, on our next one?
I should have looked that up.
August 18th. I have it right here. August
There
18th, where
there
we're
you
going to
go.
be talking about marketing and networking, one of my true passions. And yeah, first and third Friday of every month, 9 a.m.
9
Pacific
AM
time. Oh,
Pacific.
God, my creative mind. Oh, I get things screwed up all the time. So a couple of you got a different invitation. Anyway, but we look forward to seeing you. And again, Steve, thank you so much for your time. I
Pleasure
think
having you,
the
Steve.
think the world of you, and look forward to seeing you 3 times in 2024.
That sounds great. Natalie, Martin, thanks so much for having me. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
Happy Friday.